So yeah, well, here we are again. So this time around, hopefully we're a little bit more prepared for it than last year. And it fits a little bit, like, I mean, it doesn't impact the pitches this time around, but it is going to impact the end of our year, which is the sales challenge in the market, which was impacted last year as well. And we have to be prepared, I guess, to do again some things a little differently, to still have those opportunities for the students to do their sales and everything. But before I start going through that, I just want to go around and see how you guys are feeling, any concerns at the moment that you might have, and see if Regan and I can answer any questions as well to put you at ease.
Yeah, Banassi, you kick off. You're first.
Sorry, I just got the volume working, so
did you?
pass on me. Couldn't hear a thing.
With my voice volume doesn't help either.
I had headphones in, but I think it thought I had the microphone on, so it wasn't working there. So sorry, what you say?
No, more than anything, like before I start talking about a few things about markets and sales opportunities and that, I just wanted to touch base with everyone and just, if you want to raise any concerns, any things that are making you nervous at this stage, and Regan and I be able to answer any questions and put you all at ease. And we've got Liz here as well, who can give us a little bit of an update what maybe in the kitty of tricks HQ wise to help with sales and stuff as well. So anyone so far, has anyone got any questions?
Yeah, I guess sorry, I guess concerning sales, that'll be something that's up in the air, I guess, at the moment, but I guess after 3 o'clock we'll know a little bit more about that.
Yep. Oh, look at the
I think our school's kind of like on hold a little bit, and the kids are just plodding on with some work till the end of this week, and decisions have been made at school from about 3 o'clock, to be honest. Yep. So we'll see what happens. It's I mean, if we go to level 3, the kids at least will be able to do sales online.
Yeah.
As long as they've got their websites up and running. But yeah, we'll see. I think a couple of our groups were struggling to get a couple of bits for their final bits for their product, so we'll see how they go.
Who has got Storby up and running, or who hasn't? Matt, you got it going. Andrew, you got it going.
Yeah, got a few of them on there.
Are yours on it, Steve?
A couple used it, and others have used Instagram. Just a combination. Some of them found Storby a little bit hard. But yeah, in general, or some have got their own websites as well. Yep. So we have sort of used it.
Yep.
Hey Liz, do you want to talk about the foot traffic? Let's call it foot traffic that we might get into that Storby site if this goes on for a couple of weeks.
Definitely.
Terry's got a bit of a plan.
Yeah. So we were. Hi everybody. Good to see you. We were planning to promote Storby in the marketplace anyways, as just our typical push around this year. So those of us who work for Young Enterprise kind of putting it into our signatures and then sending it out to all of our sponsors and whānau across the country, and then doing some social media pushes on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook. So we'll be ramping that up to start as soon as possible. But yeah, like I know Steve was mentioning there's that only benefits the companies that have a Storby site that's up and running, and lots of companies are selling online through their own different websites on a different platform or through their Instagram. So we're trying to also think of some other ways that we can allow teams to connect with each other, because they seem to really like that from last year. That was some of the feedback we had. So allowing them to connect with each other, see what some others around the country are doing, and give some sales opportunities that way. So in terms of that, like last year, Auckland, and maybe, did you guys as well, Adoya? Did you run a virtual market?
No, I did a Facebook market page where students would promote themselves, and there were links to Storby or whatever were the platforms they were selling on.
Right.
And yeah, it was quite successful for some and not so for some others.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were a couple of teams who sold out and had to do more product out of that, the promotion.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, if depending on what happens this afternoon and such, Auckland did do a virtual market last year, kind of like a Zoom call like this, and teams had a couple of minutes or a minute or so to talk about what their product was, give a brief overview, and then in the chat they had just been posting their Instagram handle or their website link or whatever it was for people to go on and check it out and sale. Students seem to really like that. So that would be an easy thing that we could get up and going either within regions or across the country as well. But yeah, as ideas come up, please share them with Doya, Regan, myself, because it's always good to crowdsource those ideas from around the country and then put them into play.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, even out to your direct market at school with your year 13 or year 12 and parent groups, you know, if you've got access to all those parents, you could push out an online marketplace to those guys who will really want to look after the other teams. Even though they may not be directly the target market, you know, you can fish around and we'll find some that are direct in your target market from the parent group, but they'll be really keen to help.
No, that's awesome.
I guess one of the biggest challenges for my groups is supply chain. Most of them have started selling already, but it's that supply chain of now being able to, first of all, get the products into themselves from their manufacturers, and second of all, being able to post out to the customer, because at the moment, of course, we can't really access that. Now, it's all going to be dependent, of course, on the announcements that follow, but I guess the big thing is to just encourage our teams that if they have orders, that they just keep in touch with those people and just explain that there are going to be delays, because in most cases they actually have the money, but now it's really difficult for them to deliver the product.
Yeah, that provides plenty for them to reflect on in this, you know, for the standard, for the assessment, and also for yes. And it's not only about numbers. And, you know, like, I think the message for kids should be take the chill out of numbers a wee bit and actually just reflect on the experience you've gone through from this external force that they've got no control over. But they're going to have plenty to write about.
Yeah. I guess the thing that worries me is that guideline for the standard of the 3 months of sales. And looking forward, but I guess moderators, etc., are just going to have to be understanding about that.
Yeah,
that's probably my biggest concern, is that students have just had their sales cycle interrupted, and I've got 2 groups who are actually doing a food product, which means they can't sell there, even though they've got their product and they've had their first sales cycle and we're doing their second one today. They aren't going to be able to continue with their product until we're at level 1 because of the hygiene standards. I've encouraged them to have their Facebook presence and do ordering for when we can actually get the product out, and then at least they've got evidence of taking orders.
Yep, that's a great response.
Yep.
Pre-sales, perfect.
Yeah,
Yep.
Pre-sales.
Hey, Doya, let's say worst case scenario, this thing drags on for a couple more weeks. What's your thoughts on challenge 4? Were you a bit more lenient, or because it is up to your discretion?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we'll have to be more lenient. That's for sure. I mean, showing any attempts of pre-sales or things like that. Yeah, absolutely will have to be considered as part of the evidence where the sales cannot take part. And also, if we can't go ahead with the market that is booked, for example, on this coming 5th of September, which probably we won't be able to and have to cancel, I'll be looking at doing again like a Facebook market page where I'm going to help promote it through my media channels and connections. I've got, for the market, I have raised over $1,300 in prizes for the students and also to encourage people to buy products. So I will look at a way to utilize this in the Facebook page to encourage people to engage with the students as well, and also a bit of a perk for the students who put a lot of effort and work into this. So we'll look at other ways, but I'll also, I guess, pick the brains of HQ and other regions on what they're doing, and I'll see if I can come up with other approaches that I can use as well in the region.
And Liz, let's say worst case scenario of 3 week, something crazy happens, 3 to 4 weeks, annual reviews, what would be the process there? Has HQ talked about that one?
Only to the extent that we're waiting to see what happens with the announcements and probably staying on track with what the school terms look like. So I'd imagine if there are any changes to the school term or school holidays, then we would look at that as well with the annual reviews. But at this point, we're not really looking at any sort of extension right now. And that's just hopefully that we are able in a few weeks to get back on track with the year and exams and those sorts of schedules.
Yep. Because the majority of the years, it's coming to an end, isn't it?
Yeah, and with talking with a few teachers in different regions and such, a couple have made the comment that I know everybody has different lockdown situations, and for some students it's different than others, but for many this is a good time for them to be working on their annual review should we be at home longer, just being able to write that out and gather the evidence from the different places they've already stored it and start putting it together. So hopefully it's a good opportunity for that. And we will have, just like we did last year with 2 different dates for the annual review, we'll have that again. So the first date will be for those who want to remain eligible for the competition. So for the regional final, national excellence awards, that sort of thing. And then we'll have a second deadline in term 4 for those who aren't bothered by the competition but want to submit so that they can get the micro credential and have ticked all 5 challenges completed. So we'll still do that again this year.
From the teachers we've got here, what groups are still gunning for those final positions? Yvonne, you want to start this one? How many teams have you got looking like they still want to push for finals?
Not sure. It really depends on their sales, I think. The group that devised that spray, they were probably the ones that were potentially for the innovation, but I don't know, we'll see. Possibly not sure.
Andrea?
Probably just 2.
2 groups looking like it. Okay. Steve, what are you looking like?
Definitely funky and rocky treats. Yep. And potentially be sustainable as well. But they're extramural and doing a lot. So I'm just going to have a conversation with them online pretty soon about that.
Okay. What about Benassi and Dale? What about the Kashmir troops?
Buddy Bitesville, hey?
Yeah, Buddy Bitesville. There's, I'd say there's probably maybe only 4 that aren't really going to be gunning for anything. Like there'll be a lot that'll give it their all.
Okay. What about your troops, Liz?
Mine, I've only got 1 group that are still going for the final challenge. So we're a bit disheartened. So it was I spent quite a bit of time motivating them after their the pitch results came out.
Okay.
So we'll see. They're pretty proud of their product, and I think their product is really good. But yeah, there just seems to be some reticence on their behalf to put themselves out there. That's basically it.
Yeah, from chatting to the other teachers around the Canterbury region, we've got still there's a lot of teams still gunning. So there's going to be some really good competitive teams coming into the regional finals.
Yes.
Which brings me to a point. While we've got a handful of teachers here, we had an idea for regional finals, Adoya, a bit of a change in format. Do you want to run that by them now, just get a perspective? Obviously, this isn't concrete. It's just ideas that Adoya and I are throwing around.
Yes, it's just the fact that always, like at the regional finals, we do have very few teams represented of what amazing work a lot of teams have done. So looking at ways of having some of those teams at the very end representing the very best that we have in the regions. We were thinking of a different approach where perhaps we have an event where more teams pitch to a panel of judges to then decide from those teams the ones that are representing the region, the best top in the region at the finals. So the thoughts were taking the very top team from each sub-region, and that one will go straight to the final as the top scorer for the region, and then have the top 10 scoring teams of each sub-region pitching for a spot in the final, and take to the final the top, let's say 4 teams out of those 10 coming out of, So yeah, basically that, and then in the final have 4 or 5 teams from each sub-region pitch for in front of the 200 plus people at the final event.
And this isn't to make more work for students. This is just to try and get more schools involved, right, Adoya?
Yeah.
I know the preliminary pitches that they will do would be a simple format. It won't involve them having to come in potentially and spend all day preparing. It'd be an easier process compared to what a regional final would be. Yeah, but we're worried about the workload, of course, and we'd love some feedback, because ideally we just want more students involved in that regional final atmosphere. Andrea, what do you reckon? Start us off.
From the spotlight.
I think your aims of why you want to do it are absolutely great, that we want to give more teams an opportunity. I think it would be slightly risky in that sometimes what can happen is that a particular product idea can gel with a group of judges. And I think it would be a little unfair if we had a team that was perhaps well down the list on points, still maybe in the top 10, but well down the list on points, who on the day gelled, their idea sort of gelled with the judges, in contrast to teams that had worked really hard on the points all the way through. But I agree, it's a fantastic way of getting more teams to be present and more teams to stay engaged. I'd just be worried about that one sort of point, but just because in the past, sometimes you've seen a really solid team that's gone extremely well on the points, have done everything that's required of them, but then on the day, it's just that their idea gels with that particular group of judges.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are fantastic at prepping the judges on how to use the marking schedule, etc. But that would just be my only concern.
Mm-hmm. It's a fair concern, yeah.
Steve, what do you reckon?
I totally agree with Andrea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't imagine where you've got that thought from, Andrea, but I'm joking. But, perfect.
Hey, Phil, welcome, mate.
Hi, Phil.
How you doing?
Good, man. Oh, Benassi, what do you reckon? Having a few more at a bit of preliminary type thing.
I think giving kids more opportunities is always a benefit. So the more opportunities that kids have really encompasses what YES is about. So instead of there being 4 or 5 teams pitching at the end, if it goes to kind of more of that style where you've got more teams that are actually pitching, then they've got more opportunity, and that it becomes more beneficial for more teams. If there's 10 teams that are going, so what would this be? This would be 2 through 10 or so, and then first gets through there anyway. So that kind of eliminates that I guess worry about the team that's done really well on points, because the top one goes through anyways. So I think you've thought about that already, and I think that's a really good idea. So top team goes already through.
We probably even talked about the top 2 going through at one stage of Adoya to reward those top 2 teams, because they worked hard all year. They probably deserve it. Well, they do deserve it. Not probably. They've worked hard.
Yeah, because I mean, it can come down to a half a point, getting into, the preliminary or the finals or the preliminary, and then that half a point, who knows what that resembles. So if there's a larger pool, that, I don't know, I like the idea because it gives more teams more opportunities, and it just means you have to qualify instead.
Yeah, seeing the scores from last year, we've had teams that didn't pitch at the final merely because there were 0.3, 0.4 of a point difference with the top 5 that went through.
Yeah, look, the dream for us would be to have students from, say, 10 different schools, 12 different schools represented at these regional finals, where in the past we kind of get the same schools turning up. And it'd be great to see a few more schools involved. Yvonne, you got anything what's your thoughts on that one? I think you're still on mute there, Yvonne.
Some of those kids, they work really, really hard, and for 0.3 of a difference, it seems a bit harsh not to be considered from one point of view. And I think it'd be good to get, if we can get more people involved and enthused, it would be great. So I'm not sure my boys will be up there this year. Maybe next year we might be. But yeah, just trying to run through my head how I can try and feed that enthusiasm to my students, both this year and next year, really.
One point is that sometimes it's quite hard to keep your students going past the end of term 3 because their focus shifts. Well, in our school anyway, the focus shifts to those exams. And I have had the situation in the past where it's actually been really difficult to get several teams of mine that have made it into the final to actually do the pitch because they've kind of moved on. I think that's possibly a consideration as well, especially now that we might have, people who want to be considered for the awards get that annual review in pretty early, and then just keeping them going is an issue just to be thought about, I think.
And that's a point we thought of, Andrea, was we would invite teams to come in to a preliminary pitch, and it would be based purely on that. Do they actually want to continue? Do they want to be there? I know there was a team last year, I won't mention what school they're from, but they genuinely did not want to be at those regional finals because they had something important on, which is perfectly understandable. But I could imagine there might have been some other teams that would have been just chomping at the bit to really get into that situation, to be there, to try and win that spot. But this isn't, concrete. This will be up for discussion later in this term, Adoya. Do you think?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, let's put it out there, and
Regan.
So were you thinking about doing a preliminary judging round? Sorry, I was looking at my phone at the time.
Steve
was explaining that. I'm so sorry. But you were thinking about a preliminary judging round, weren't you?
Yep.
Yeah. So if you did that, I wonder if you had a different panel of judges that would take out that concept Andy was talking about a judge that judges in the prelims and judges in the finals that gets a real loves a business, and carries that through into the finals. Like maybe if you had two separate panels of judges, then
definitely.
that would moderate that impact.
We thought about that. They would definitely be
yeah.
two separate sets of judges.
Completely
So
new, panel.
Oh.
Yeah.
That also then avoids knowing who the favorites are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because if you've got a 1 and a 2 and the judges know that, they've already got a little bit of bias there because they already know where they're placed. So that's cool. That's good. Having two
judges
different
won't
panels,
know
good idea.
where they scored. They won't know who was team number 2 all the way down to the team number 10.
Yeah.
And they would have access to annual review, of course, before the preliminary pitches as well as the final. Yeah.
One thing you can do as well, maybe, or consider doing to kind of go to what Andrea was saying and Steve had raised earlier about some of the lower scoring teams bumping up because they had a really great pitch. In that though we don't do it at regional final, in your preliminary one, you could weight it where their total points is actually worth a certain percentage, and then the pitch is actually worth a certain percentage. So that you did have, because that would factor in, like Andrew was saying, if teams had higher in the total points, then it actually does give them a bit of a nod. So if you've got that lower scoring team, they'd really have to have an amazing or an outstanding pitch to kind of jump up and over. But you could play around with that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
Hey Phil, you've sort of joined a little bit later. What's your thoughts on us sort of creating a bigger regional pitch setup where we have preliminary pitches with more teams to get more schools involved?
I think it'll be good for us as a small school. We've got a lot of students doing it, but it's just the opportunities to give them. They've got maybe a bit more of a chance to get there. I think we were really lucky last year to make it in the end, especially with what happened with COVID, and now we're in the same situation. But no, definitely more opportunities would be useful.
Okay, we'd probably do it. Would we have to do it digital, this prelim, Adoya? So the likes of Phil did have a couple of teams that got on. We wouldn't want to drag them along for a prelim.
No, prelim and then
ask them to come along to another one.
They get through. Yeah, definitely we could. Yeah. Look at ways to do it. Yeah. No pressure.
If I missed this, when did you say, what time frame were you thinking? Like how soon before the regional finals would that be?
Probably about our regional final falls on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So
it would have to be more than a week prior, wouldn't it?
Yeah, like maybe the Wednesday before, do the prelim pitch, and then we'll have time to then announce the winners so they can prep over that weekend and have enough time to,
Okay. What sort of pitch are we looking for, Adoya? Do we want same as the regional final style pitch? Do we want more of an elevator pitch or a yarn between a judge and a group? We haven't decided that, but have we?
No, I haven't even, but possibly it'll have to be a pitch, not just an elevator pitch. It has to have some substance to be able to make that decision. Yeah.
How about making it like the regional final pitch, but more of an opportunity for questions and interaction with the judges? Because I think sometimes that's when the real wheat from the chaff gets sorted as to how well people actually know their business. So that would be quite a good development or an incentive for making it a bit different. So yes, they still have an opportunity to improve on their preliminary pitch, but it would be that interaction between the panel and the team that would really see it go to the next level.
So a 5-minute pitch, say, and then 5 to 6 minutes worth of questions to really get behind the scenes and see what they're up to in a business.
My question is, how are the teams, like say the first place team, who doesn't get to go through or doesn't get this opportunity to get feedback from a judging panel. I mean, I think a lot of these other place judges will get feedback and will probably act upon that. So if I was a first place team and I didn't have that same opportunity, I'm not sure how I'd feel. Maybe I'd think, cool, I don't have to do it, but maybe, you know, I'd be a little bit disappointed that I didn't have the opportunity to get feedback before I pitched for the final.
Great point.
Do we put them through that process, but they automatically go through without knowing? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I just, you know, that's just a
good
query
point.
that someone may raise. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah. No, good point, and definitely something we should consider and give the opportunity to the teams. Yep.
Yep.
Cool. This is really good.
I like it, and I'm just having a play here and going, well, if the top two automatically went ahead, then you've got 8 teams left. Could you do it like a playoff, like the 3rd seeded up against the 10th, and one of those goes through, and then the 4th seeded up against the 9th?
We'll muck around with it. We just don't know what sort of numbers we want at that regional final. But last year we had 10 teams a Adoya, and that was pushing it. That was really maxing out our concentration levels.
Yeah, possibly. A good final. If we do a process beforehand, probably 4 teams.
4 from the north, 4 from the south.
Would be a long enough event. Yeah.
Right.
But no, great. Lots of great things, great feedback, and things I had not considered at all. So thank you, everyone. That is, fantastic to try and puzzle something together and then put it again in front of you and see if you like the idea. Again, as Regan said, nothing set in stone. We don't need to change anything, but just looking at better ways to do this.
Yep. And let's say today there's some bad news. The comms will come out from Yes Monday, Liz, on where we're going.
Yeah, probably as early next week as possible, once we feel like we have enough information. Yep.
Right. And I look at some strategies because I'm for that market, because for sure we won't be able to have a market on the 5th of September, unfortunately.
I just had
even if we went down in levels, we will not be able to have more than 100 people in the same spot and all that sort of thing. So, realistically. But I'll come up with
I just had a thought around some markets. Just watching the news last night, or 7 Sharp, and there's David Downs, the raving Yes fan that he is, and what he set up, where you could buy some hospitality credit and pre-purchase it and then use it at a variety of different places. Well, with having that as part of kind of a Yes network, I was wondering if we could maybe tap into his expertise and his knowledge and go, well, is there a way that people could just go on and buy Yes credit to buy it like the Yes store or something along those lines, so that they don't necessarily, know what they want to purchase yet, but they could go, well, here's a student organization and I really like what's come out of it. And then they could use that kind of once things become a little bit clear.
Liz,
that's your answer. What do we got?
David's one of our board members. So yes, he is quite connected to Young Enterprise as much as he can be. I just wrote that down, Matt. I'll have a chat with Terry and we can get a hold of David and see what options there could be around that. Because that could be something we could probably sell through our website and then just figure out how people can redeem it when it comes to getting the money to the Yes company. Because which we can work through, because the Yes company's got all different ways of taking payment. Sometimes it's bank transfer only on Storby, and sometimes it's something e-commerce, a bit more sophisticated setup with a card details thing. I'll think through that, Matt, and we'll have a chat with David and see what we can come up with.
Cool.
Awesome.
What do you reckon, Adoya? We've kept people for about half an hour. That's more than enough.
Yes. No, it's great connecting again, guys. Not the best circumstances, but we're all in this together. And last year, we did pretty good. I'd say they did an amazing job last year. So yeah, by staying connected. So yeah, let's keep that up, and anytime really, like myself, Regan, Liz, hit us up with any questions, any concerns you might have, and as always, we do our best to try and put opportunities out there for the students to, and for you to make this a little bit less challenging where we can. So yeah.
Excellent. Well,
I'm just sorry.
Sorry, Liz, where you go?
I've just got, a worst case scenario, just so that I can start getting students to prepare, is if they only get through, well, the two groups I've got who have food products and they don't get to finish their selling cycles, or they only get to do two, is there some, wiggle room, so to speak, within the assessment standards to say, well, we've reviewed our 1.5 selling cycles because we got so many orders, but we haven't been able to fulfill them yet. That's all I'm asking.
100%. There's ways of working around that, and I'll give you, if that comes into needing to sort that one out, I'll give you a call and we can work through that.
Yeah, cool.
Great.
All good.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for finding the time of the learn lunchtime to join in with us.
Yes.
My kids are screaming in the background, so I'm not looking forward to this.
Oh, no, yours, were they?
There's about 3 of them. Like, I can hear them punching each other. Oh, it's not going to be good.
Oh.
About 3.
Well, I heard my wife screaming at them too, so maybe she's punching one of them.
Regan, Emma's laughing.
Oh, God. Sure, there's going to be blood. Stay in the bedroom.
In that case, thanks everyone. Regan.
Good to see you guys.
No, good to see you. I'll put some notes in an email and the recording. I'll send it through to everyone, and no doubt we'll sort out some meetups like this throughout the time that we're in lockdown, so we can catch up and feed updates and get your guys' feedback, which is, you can see from today, it's amazing and just helps us do the best job that we can.
Yeah, it must be beer o'clock in Assing.
See you later, guys.
Yeah, no one's at the door yet.
Yeah. All right. See you, team.
Bye, everyone.
Right, thanks for the support.
Good to see you.